Here are 5 regrets from my early 20s. Chasing materialistic items instead of experiences. Like most immigrant children, my parents couldn't get everything that I asked for. I was lucky enough to maybe get 1 to 2 video games a year, so when I graduated college and got my first job, I first made it a priority to pay off my student debt, but once I paid off my debt, I was at a crossroads when it came to my finances. I now finally had the purchasing ability to make purchases for all the things I ever wanted in life. Now I found when I bought these things, I was buying them because A, I wanted them, but also I started to buy them because I was trying to impress other people. And this was really evident when I first moved to New York City, where everyone dresses a certain way and acts a certain way. So when you see that, a lot of your purchasing decisions are influenced by what you see around you. And the bad thing is, a cycle started to form in my head. Anytime I would get sad, I would just swipe my credit card and buy something new and get this huge dopamine rush of this new product or thing that I bought. But the thing is, each time I swiped my credit card and got something new, I felt more emptier inside. Now, it wasn't until I actually moved out of New York City that I started to question the decisions I was making. Now, whenever I try to purchase something, I truly ask myself, is this something I really want, or is this something I'm buying to trying to impress other people with? Now, instead of buying things, I wish I would have used that money in my early 20s to go on experiences or learn new skills. So throughout the early 20s, one of the things I really wanted to do was to travel. But anytime the word travel was brought up, I would always make excuses that I didn't have enough money. But that statement made no sense because my actions were not lining up with the intentions of what I was saying. So I wish I was more strategic with my finances in my early 20s and prioritize going on experiences rather than giving into the compulsion of buying things whenever I saw them. Not taking my health seriously. I've said it before, but I'm currently on the biggest health transformation of my life, and having gone through this process right now, it really has made me question why I didn't go through this transformation earlier in life. Now, during my early 20s, my diet and workout programs were awful. When I graduated college, it was at the start of COVID, and my first job was remote. So during that time, I had put on a lot of weight during that first year of COVID because I was working remotely and I was eating a lot of fast food, and I got very little exercise in during that time as well. I would get at most maybe 30 minutes to an hour of walking around my neighborhood, and I could feel that extra weight on the clothes that I used to wear in college. Now, this was concerning for me because in college I was able to keep up a relatively slim build. In fact, I had pretty much a skinny fat build during that time, but after college and when I started working my first job, I really started to put on the weight, and a lot of the clothes that I was wearing in college were starting to get really tight or really uncomfortable to wear. I also remember there would be times where I would just look at myself in the mirror and just be absolutely disgusted with what I saw and just seeing the gut that I would have. I would actually just imagine what it would be like if I got rid of my gut and had a slimmer build. And imagining myself in a more skinnier build allowed me to get some motivation to start working out, but I never was consistent with it. In fact, I would always make excuses on why I couldn't continue my workout regime. Luckily, in 2022, I moved to New York City, and that did help with cutting down some of my weight due to the sheer fact that New York City is a city where walking is the primary form of transportation. But still keep in mind that my diet was still really bad during that time. I was still consuming a lot of pizza, fast food, takeout food. I was still drinking a lot on the weekends, and I was not cooking for myself on a regular basis. And I also had the same consistency problem when it came to going to the gym there. Even though I had a gym membership there, I was lucky to maybe get 2 to 3 days in a row, but a lot of times I would maybe go once a week. And again, it goes back to the idea that I just kept making excuses for myself, and I didn't really follow any real workout program. I was just kind of going into the gym, doing a couple workouts, and hoping for the best. It wasn't until the start of this year where I committed myself to the Athlete Next training plan, along with committing myself to fixing up my diet. And it's been amazing to see the transformation in my body during this time. I feel way more confident in the clothes that I put on, and I just feel confident in general. But I will say that if you are in your early 20s, prioritizing your health and fitness is probably one of the biggest ROIs you can have trying to hack my way to success. Growing up, I always saw my parents do hard work. No matter how they were feeling, they got up every single day and did the same thing. So in a lot of ways, they resemble the process and the commitment it takes in order to be successful. So knowing that, when I was growing up, I always knew that there was no get-rich-quick scheme, or there was no easy way to get to success. But in my early 20s, when I graduated college, I started to fall into the trap or the mindset that success would just fall to me because A, I graduated from a great university and I had all these skill sets. And it wasn't until I started to branch out and go towards my own personal projects like this YouTube channel and my photography business where I started to feel the full effects of that mindset weighing on me. I started to believe the hype from other YouTubers that if I just showed up and pressed record on the camera with very little effort or minimal planning, that my channel would just all of a sudden blow up. And for the first year and a half, I did that. If you go back, you can tell that my videos were very low effort, very poorly planned, no script, no great lighting, or no great audio editing. And I just hope that one day it would just blow up. There is no quick way to success when it comes to YouTube or personally any project that you take on. It takes hours and hours of consistent hard work and trusting the process, and the success will follow in that way. So instead of just hoping that success would have come in those early days in my early 20s, I wish I would have spent that time in terms of slowly improving my game. So that meant writing better scripts, learning how to write more engaging scripts, learning how to light myself better, learning how to video things better, learning how to audio edit better, and learning how to color grade. All of those little things that come into making a great YouTube video, I wish I would have spent more time focusing on that and improving, and I think I would have seen better results than just hoping that one day just doing the same thing would lead to success. Not being in the present moment enough. One thing that affected me a lot in my early 20s was not being in the present moment enough. Now, this could have been the byproduct of living with parents that have a very entrepreneurial mindset, and that mindset probably rubbed off on me where they're always on work and always thinking about work. But the thing is, whenever I was at get-togethers or parties, I was always 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And people could tell because I was not fully there when it came to talking to people and also listening in on the conversations. In a weird way, I was trying to project this notion that I'm someone that's high and mighty and always really busy and I don't have time for these parties or get-togethers. And I realized that's a very toxic mindset to have because life is meant to be shared with others and you're supposed to share those experiences with others and not to be lived in isolation. Now, as I've gotten older, I've started to realize how finite time is, especially when it comes to your friends and family. So whenever I'm out with them, I always try to appreciate the moment that I'm spending with them because I know that there is no guarantee that this moment will come back again. And I feel like you only get that perspective as you get older, but it's something I wish I would have realized when I was in my early 20s. Letting fear stop me from doing something. Now, something that was prevalent throughout my early 20s was excuses. Looking back though, those quote-unquote excuses was really just fear. I let fear stop me from trying so many things in my early 20s. I let the fear of looking stupid in front of my peers, the fear of failing, and the fear of not being good enough stop me from creating content on the internet. Take this YouTube channel, for example. I feel like I talked about creating a YouTube channel for so long during college and especially after graduation. And it wasn't until one day when I decided to just pick up my camera and hit record that I finally started this project. Now, if it wasn't the fear of starting, it was the fear of not being good enough that stopped me from creating more adventurous videos. I would always make excuses back in the day of the fact that I didn't have the right camera, I didn't have the right lighting equipment, I didn't have the right editing software, stopped me from trying to make videos that were a little bit out of the ordinary of what I could do. I remember when I started my photography and videography business, I was really hesitant about taking on clients. I was so scared to take on anyone that was outside my comfort zone because I wanted to be 100% sure that I could deliver on the project. But I realize now that that was just fear stopping me from trying something new. And I've realized that you will never be 100% ready for any project that comes your way. Your best bet is to accept the project and just to figure it out as you go. Now, this is something I still struggle with to this day, but I've started to figure out ways to say yes to things instead of finding ways to say no to stuff. It's been really interesting looking back at my early 20s now that I'm 26. I feel like your early 20s are such a unique time in your life because it's the first time where a lot of us gain full independence from the people that we grew up with. But during that time, you really learn about yourself a lot and you really grow as a human being. I feel like there were so many times during that period where I questioned what I was doing with my life and I'm on the right path. And I think during those moments, you really start to figure out who you are and what you truly value in this world. So I hope that this list that I provided gives you some guidance when it comes to navigating your early 20s. But if you're someone like me who's 26 or approaching their end of their 20s, I'd love to hear some of the regrets that you may have when you look back at your early 20s as well. So thank you for watching. With love and respect, Yash.